McInnes, along with captain Chris Pronger and goaltender Roman Turek, are just 3 reasons for the Blues' big start. McInnes' powerful slapper still a weapon, while Pronger's physical play gives opponents fits. And Turek has established himself as the #1 guy between the pipes. Pierre Turgeon and Scott Young have provided the goals for the Blues. Turgeon has been Turgeon since his return from injury, and Young has kicked it into high gear. The Blues battle the Coyotes next.
Here we go.
Here in Phoenix, the St. Louis Blues look to add to their NHL best road winning percentage. But first, here's my partner, Bill Clement, in all his glory for a little bit.
Well, Steve, for a second there, I was having this great flashback. A center again between 2 wingers. Then I realized these guys were defensemen. But they are major pieces to the St. Louis puzzle. Al McInnes and Chris Pronger. Chris, we'll start with you. You and Al on the power play on the point. You guys seem to have great chemistry. Where does that chemistry come from?
Well, I think it's just from us getting a lot of room back there because of his shot. I get a lot more room to settle down loose pucks and kind of control things a little bit more. And once I get it across him, I try to get it over as fast as I can to give him a little bit more time to get a shot away.
How about that shot, those twine-seeking missiles that you launch? I mean, you busted 3 bones on the Phoenix team alone last year. You've taken out 2 goalies. You took out the boards the other night. With teams playing you so close, what's the key to getting your shot away?
Well, just a matter of, you know, not the big wind-up. There's times where, obviously, you don't have the time for the big wind-up, and you try and create as much room out there as you can. There's a lot of times I'll slide across the blue line, even as far as to the left point, to try and either get myself open or give the guy a half boards as much room as possible.
Okay, time for the no-brainer question. If there was one aspect of Al's game that you could have in your game, what would it be?
Well, I think it'd be that Norris Trophy you got last year, but no.
Surprised me.
Surprised,
yeah.
But no, I think you know, a lot of times the way he's able to be a little more patient with the puck and hold guys, and then with that nice curve he has on his stick, be able to whip it around guys and make that great outlet pass.
Just got to change your curve. Exactly. Al, if there was one aspect of Chris's game you could have, what would it be?
Everything? No. I think the biggest thing that sticks out is his size and his reach, but you still have to have the smarts to go with it. And you watch Chris out there every night. You know, he doesn't waste a lot of calories out there. He makes everything look very easy out there, and he can play all night like that.
Gentlemen, thank you. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Al the Gunner McInnes, Chris the Cruncher Pronger, Steve Levy, can you stand it?
Stand it, Bill. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure JR would say the same. Jeremy Roenick, the 4th leading scorer in the NHL, looks to split the D next. Underway on this Tuesday night from America West Arena here in Phoenix, Arizona. Flipped inside the Blues end. Chris Pronger is on it. He actually averages exactly 30 minutes of ice time per game. And icing is called to bring it back down deep into the Phoenix end.
Well, tonight will be no different for Chris Pronger, and he's going to really end up with a physically challenging assignment because he's going to be matched up against Keith Tkachuk and Jeremy Roenick, 2 of the classic power forwards, 2 of the big strong guys in the game. So Chris Pronger can count on tons of ice time tonight.
Pair of referees tonight, as is the norm this season in the NHL. Greg Kimmerly and Stephen Walcom. Our linesmen, Wayne Bonney and Darren Gibbs. The Blues in the road blue uniforms and the Coyotes in their home whites. Face off to the right of the goaltender for Phoenix, Robert Esch, as that shot goes wide of the net. Drake on it for the Coyotes. Soft backhand pass to Roenick. He's able to clear it to center ice. And the Blues will just turn around and dump it right back in. Handzus on the forecheck for St. Louis as they look to come away. Aaron pass a bit too far. Bergevin stands up his man at the red line. Gets some help now, and it's at center. Pass a bit too far for Keith Tkachuk, and Al McInnes is on it. Tkachuk rubs him out. Back behind the Blues nets. Good forechecking here by Phoenix. Nearly leads to a giveaway, but instead, the Blues are able to come out ahead to center. Lubos Bartechko on the play, and they are offside at that Phoenix blue line. And it is 2-0 as we approach the midway point of period 1.
Well, Steve, that's why the Coyotes are in such a... Oh, man, that changed directions by Reardon and just about went in. That's why the Phoenix Coyotes are in such a big hole.
Here's Pronger. Long shot is stopped. And the Coyotes on it.
I mean, you got to figure that Pavel Dimitrov, Pierre Turgeon, Scott Young, who's been hot. I mean, these guys may be heard from, and they haven't yet.
Nice move by Drake, centering feed, could not hook up with Tkachuk. Down low, Drake again, tried to center, and it went through everybody and all the way down.
Jyrki Lume just motioned to Robert Esche to come out and get it. Robert Esche can outskate half of the skaters on this team. Great skater, great puck handler, and he makes pretty good decisions with it. So you really got to be careful if you're going for a line change when Robert Esche is in goal, because he'll beat you with the long up ice pass. See him again out there banging it up high off the glass. Good play.
Again, Robert Esche, the goaltender, is still looking for his first National Hockey League victory. We want to apologize again for some technical problems we've been having here in Phoenix. This is the Blues and the Coyotes on National Hockey Night on ESPN2. Here's Pearson coming in from his point position, and he is stopped by the goaltender Esche. And Tocchet picks it up for Phoenix. Coyotes had lost a season-high 4 in a row before defeating San Jose here 4-3 on Sunday afternoon, hoping to work out their kinks, and already they find themselves in a 2-0 hole midway through the first period. Here's Pearson, able to move it out ahead for Bartechko. And he'll shoot in as the Blues go for wholesale changes. Coyotes change on the fly as well. Bump thrown in the near boards. Bergevin picks it up off for McInnes. And here's Hesh for St. Louis. His pass cannot click. And the Coyotes move it ahead. Here's Letowski. Centering feed broken up by Bergevin, who was in the right spot. Trevor Letowski, the high-flying rookie for the Coyotes.
Boy, and Al McInnes stepped up on the play. That's why this team is so dangerous. McInnes jumped up, joined the rush after making a good defensive play in his end.
McInnes on it in front of his own netminder. Roman Turek. Shots are even at 4 apiece. So the shooting percentage for the Blues so far is a whopping 50%. And the pass just a bit too far behind the Phoenix player, Mika Alatalo, for him to handle, and sent deep inside the Phoenix zone. Mayers trying to center for Bob Basson. In his second stint as a member of the St. Louis Blues, played 4 previous seasons with the Blue Notes. Lume is on it. Avoids the hit from Mayers, and the Coyotes come away.
Check this out, though. 4 St. Louis guys back on the play, and that's why you've got to be so smart. You've got to make plays so quickly against them. They back check better than any team in the NHL. So if you think you've got time, you're wrong. They take it away.
In the modern day NHL, Bill, I come to believe now that first period goals might actually be more important than third period goals because of the way teams play with the lead.
Yeah,
especially 2 first period goals.
So many teams are so good defensively that you're climbing out of a giant hole with the sides all greased up by the time you go down 2-0 in the first period.
Here's Turek. Looks to leave it there. Smartly played it away from one Coyote, but very nearly to another. Headman pass for Scott Pellerin. Bit too far. Esche will play it away from him and all the way down. Here's McInnes up the middle of the ice. Turgeon had a handle momentarily. And here's Young. Hits the brakes. Quick shot as he went left to right, and the pad saved by Robert Esche.
See that rebound, though? That's one of the scouting reports St. Louis has on Robert Esche. He will put rebounds directly out in front of him between the hash marks, and he laid that one out.
The Blues at center with McInnes. And Dimitrov will shoot it in, although softly. Here's Roenick trying to catch St. Louis on a change, but he was out of gas, and they'll go for a shift change as well. Adams on the forecheck now on Finley. Finley there, working Adams over. And the pass, and the Blues come away with Bartechko.
I can tell you, too, Steve, that since this puck was dropped tonight, St. Louis has been faster and stronger. They're winning all the one-on-one battles.
Centering feed, all alone in front, shot, score! It's Jesus! Rather, Bartechko, with all sorts of time in front, could have gone for lunch and a cup of coffee, and he scores, and it's 3-0 Blues.
Well, when you see a team losing the one-on-one battles, it usually means they're not emotionally and mentally ready to play, and that's backed up by this play. I mean, Bartechko along the wall. Where's the coverage in front? Look, 2 guys right to Jesus in the corner. That's 2 fantastic plays Jesus made off the boards that have led to goals. One on the Nash goal, now on the Bartechko goal. What a move by Lubos Bartechko. Robert Esche had 0 chances. His only chance might have been to try to poke check him. But Barteshko gave him the I'm gonna shoot look, and then what a stop and move to the forehand.
I don't know if there's such a thing as having too much time in front, maybe too much time to think about where you're going to put it, but what a terrific move with a ton of time.
Depends how close you are to the goalie. I mean, if you're out a little way, you want some time. You know, you can do some things. You can make him think. You can select your move. In close like that, only the guys with the great decision-making abilities and the hands to back it up can execute, and Barteshko's got those.
And here come the Blues again, looking for more. Finley in deep centering. Eastwood got a great shot off. That was stopped by Ash. He somehow got it up in the air, and Ash made the save.
Oh, look at this. It's going to get worse for Phoenix. Keith Carney is going to go for a high stick on
Looks like
Jamal.
Conroy.
Yeah, on Conroy.
The frustration may be starting to set in for Carney and the Phoenix Coyotes. It is all St. Louis early.
Well, after a big effort this past weekend and a win against San Jose, the Phoenix Coyotes don't appear to be prepared to play. Keith Carney took a high stick there, and I'm not talking about Keith Carney. He's always ready to play. Step behind, making mistakes, looking way smaller and way slower than St. Louis right now.
Power play ongoing for the Blues. They look to add to it. What a power play this is. Pronger and McInnes will play the points. Scott Young and Pierre Turgeon, rather Dimitra Turgeon and Young, the forwards for the Blues. Wrapped around. Esch tried to glove it down. And it rolls around. Here's McInnes now. Thought about it. Off for Dimitra now. Top of the circle.
And boy,
Set up shot, a big save with Pronger in the front of the net area.
They did a switch. They changed look about every 20 seconds.
Again, Pronger in front, threw a heavy screen. That was tipped wide. You're thinking about the goaltender, Esch. Not sure I can fault him on any of the three Blues goals.
No way. But St. Louis comes at you with their power play, and they give you multiple looks in the same power play. They'll do umbrella. They'll switch Pronger, put him in front. They'll hang him back down low.
Here's Yolonen, short-handed, couldn't get the shot away. And here's Dimitra back the other way. Puck bounced on him a bit. They still get it. And now Young gets it to lie down for him. And the shot goes behind the net. Here's Dimitra on it now. Turgeon in his skates couldn't handle. And the Coyotes come away short-handed. With 30 seconds left in the penalty to Carney. Turgeon on it for the Blues. Off for Young. Drop for Dimitra. And they look to set it up again. Reardon has replaced Pronger now. Reardon's got the puck. Lets it go. Shot is stopped by Esch. And he will hang on.
Well, if you missed any of the goals, we're going to show them to you again. Tyson Nash. Mike Eastwood, short-handed breakaway. And then this terrific passing play from the Slovak line. Handzus to Barteshko. 3-zip. There's one of the goal scorers right there, Mike Eastwood. His first shorthander of the season, his 10th overall. There's hard hat Tyson Nash. I was kind of right in the middle of that story. I got to explain what the hard hat issue is in the locker room when we get a chance. And it's not a hard hat anymore. They've changed that, but we'll get to that when we get a chance.
So it's a hard hat that isn't a hard hat.
Well, they gave the hard hat to Jeff Cordell when he retired. It is now the ugliest helmet they can find. And we're not going to name the manufacturer.
Handzus is on at the corner. He already has a pair of assists tonight.
There's Eastwood with that long stick knocking down another pass. Mike Eastwood, long blade, long stick.
Giveaway, shot, stop. Hecht had a great chance. Turnaround shot, score!
Oh,
it's Eastwood again, his 11th, and it is 4-0 Blues.
Oh, this is, well, the people are booing here, and they should. If the Phoenix Coyotes are not embarrassed, they should be. Rarely do I see a team come out as flat as Bobby Francis's Coyotes have come out here. I mean, they can't do anything right, but the effort isn't there. It'd be one thing if they were victims of circumstance. Nobody's on Mike Eastwood. People are standing around. Tell you what, if this period doesn't end soon, and it will in 3:32, but if Bobby Francis can't get him fired up, and Robert Esch wasn't ready for that shot, he doesn't get him fired up, this could be a record-setting game for St. Louis. I mean, it's like practice out there now against the Coyotes.
Phoenix has a lot of prideful guys, Bill. This is very surprising.
Yes, I agree with you.
They have not won a single one-on-one battle in any of the 3 zones all night.
No, they've committed turnovers. They made bad mental mistakes because of poor decisions. I mean, 4-zip in 17 minutes.
That Eastwood goal was really a second chance goal. The first chance should never have been allowed. Way too much time and space.
You bet.
And to get a second chance on that same sequence is unconscionable.
To step out in front like that and have the time to get out to the circle, pivot, look, fire, should not happen.
Offside at the Coyotes blue line. A small victory for Phoenix.
Big collision moments ago. Jeremy Roenick was shaken up. He looks okay. Here's Craig Conroy. Jeremy Roenick right to him. Bang. They both hit. They're both hurt. Conroy went to the locker room too.
The Coyotes counter at center now, in across the line, broken up nicely by Nash for the Blues, and Nash is hammered by Travis Green.
Well, somebody's trying to answer the bell.
And Bergevin will send it across. Here's Adams. A goal would go a long way for the Coyotes right here. Shot, big glove save by Turek. First time he was tested in the first period, and he answered.
And that has been the story of Roman Turek over the last month and a half. The St. Louis Blues are the best at keeping the shots down, so Turek doesn't see that much rubber, but when he has seen it, he has been good. His save percentage after being dismal the first 5 games of the season is now .910. And he really does believe that he can be a #1 guy. You know, tonight marks the most games he has ever played in an individual NHL season. And Travis Green, after the good hit in the neutral zone, just about had one. Didn't get it up high enough to get it over the pad. You can see the Blues. Look, 4 Blues in front protecting Roman Turek. They swarm back down and really aggressively try to force turnovers. So you never get a rebound against them, or seldom get a rebound against them.
Face off to the left of Turek now, who has only had to face 5 Phoenix shots, and I'll say that last one was the only real difficult chance. As the Blues look to get out of the zone, and Bergevin, the veteran, cool and calm, able to play it ahead.
Oh!
Off the sideboards, but right to St. Louis. Turgeon, cool himself, able to glove it down. Right on the blue line. And they say they're offside with exactly 2 minutes left in the first.
Roman Turek is coming off a shutout against the Boston Bruins. And he was terrific early, and he was very good when he had to be later in the game. But these are the kind of saves that have become routine for Roman Turek. People are starting to take notice.
And if you ask the question, where did this guy come from? Well, he came for Dallas for a compensatory 3rd-round draft pick. You don't normally think about being able to get a #1 goaltender for a 3rd-round draft pick.
Dallas had no leverage because they were going to lose him in the expansion draft anyway. They knew that. And as a result, teams weren't offering that much. And there were other teams that were in the same position to lose goaltenders. So there weren't that many teams lining up for Roman Turek. And when they did, they didn't want to pay very much because they knew they had Dallas over a barrel.
2-line pass. And I think the other thing, Bill, is that they probably questioned the stamina factor, which you brought up, that he'd only played 26 games. That's the most in the National Hockey League season. Yes, he played some 40 games in the German league, but it's obviously not the same thing. And could he stand up to the test of being a #1 guy?
But Joel Quenneville, the coach of the Blues, Larry Plow, the GM, these guys do their homework. You know, a lot of guys make trades still and don't do their homework, and you go, what were they thinking? All they had to do was ask around. But you got to ask the right people. Some people will tell you whatever you want to hear. You got to know how to ask the right people, and they asked the right people, and everybody said the same thing. Turek's a player.
A lot of the Dallas players just raved about him in practice and warm-ups, that kind of thing, because he's behind Eddie Belfour. He didn't see him a whole lot in game action. That shot is blocked at the defense by Chris Pronger, who leads the National Hockey League, by the way, in blocked shots with 80 of them.
Look at this. Dimitra back down low in the corner. That's how far the Blues will sag back down low to try to force that turnover. And Dimitra, who really could be out at the point, was back in the corner.
Pronger at center ice, minute 15 to play here in the first. And the sarcastic roar for that easy save by Ash. Out of the corner again. Here are the Blues shot, score! It's Pavel Dimitra. And all of a sudden, it is 5-0. And the Coyotes are singing the Blues.
Well, Pavel Dimitra might just have taken care of the traffic problem after the game. And we're only in the first period. Dimitri deserves something after that good play made in his own end, but here it is, look. Walks out of the corner. Nobody near him. There was some man-to-man coverage away from him. Yikes. I mean, this is a yikes right here for the Phoenix Coyotes. I mean, the Blues are playing well, but when you've got that much room, everybody looks great.
1 minute left to play in the period.
I can't remember the last time I saw a good team, play this poorly for one period. Another great shot.
I should point out that the Phoenix Coyotes are still leading the Pacific Division.
First place team.
Todd Gill is down
in front of the Coyotes net. And this is, besides being a potential injury to Gill, the worst thing could happen to the Coyotes. They want to get off this ice.
Look at this. Todd Gill is banged up pretty good there in the face. Bobby Francis is a very, very proud man, and he is one hurting man right now. Todd Gill looks like they're dabbing away at his nose. No, it's over. Is it up over his eye? Look at the blood just pouring out of his helmet. Gosh, he must have gotten creamed with a stick. If not, then a skate. I didn't see it. We may catch it on a replay. Oh. Was that Rick Tocchet that was back down low? Yep, right in front. And he swung around with his stick. Back it up a second, guys. Right there. That looks like Rick Tocchet, and he came around and just crushed Todd Gill across the face with his lumbar.
And Tocchet's the guy helping him off the ice.
It's the least he could do. It was accidental.
But what else can happen to the Coyotes tonight? Their own players taking their teammates out as they trail 5-0.
I don't like the way Todd Gill is heading to the locker room with that towel over his eye. I mean, if it was above his eye, he would be holding it there with his helmet off and would be able to really look where he's going. I mean, he's walking like a guy that can't see where he's going. That very often would tell you he might have a problem with the eye, and that looked like it got him. And the tough part of that, Steve, was it looked like the heel of the stick was right at the eye, and the eye socket's well protected from sticks, but the point of the blade and the heel are the only two areas that can get in the eye socket, and you got to hit an eye right on with the heel to do damage. But we hope for the best for Todd Gill.
Whistle offside at the Phoenix blue line in a period that just cannot end soon enough for the Coyotes. We are already in blowout time here. It is 5-0 Blues.
This is embarrassment you're looking at right here. Keith Tkachuk, Jeremy Roenick, Greg Adams. This is shock and embarrassment.
I'm sure Bobby Francis will say that, hey, this is when you learn something about your team.
Yes, sir.
When things are the worst and the bleakest, and they are right about now.
And these kind of games don't build character, they reveal it.
Here's Green now, and across the line from the angle, tip shot goes wide of the net. Here's Turgeon for the Blues. He's whacked by Tocchet. Passes picked off by Louis DeBrusk. The rare shift for DeBrusk, 29 white for the Coyotes. They're tough guy, and it's sent down the length of the ice. And Carney is back for the touch away from Hesht, and the whistle. 15.2 seconds left in a first period owned by the Blues.
Well, no embarrassment on the Blues bench. Joel Quenneville and his guys got to be feeling pretty good. Joel Quenneville this morning said to me, he said, oh no, you guys are doing the game? He said, we're awful when we're on ESPN or ESPN2. Well, not tonight, Joel. We owed you one, but we don't have anything to do with this. It's the Coyotes plus you guys.
This could be a significant win should the Blues hang on and up 5-0. You would expect they would. Their record against the best teams in the NHL is not good.
No, it is
They're
not.
under 500 against teams that are over 500 in the NHL. So you say the good teams, hey, take care of the teams you're supposed to beat up, but you got to win some of those other games, and the Blues have not been. So they looked at this as an important test tonight. And they come out with shining colors here in the first period. Roenick tried the backhand, couldn't get it on goal. 4 seconds left.
Bob Basson down low there. The 5 Blues trying to protect Turek, and Basson, the forward, came right back down and chopped his man.
Well, I don't have to ask anyone. I believe that was the worst period of play by the Coyotes all season. Give the Blues credit. 5-0. ESPN News next. America West all dolled up for the holidays. The fans here did not like what they saw in period number 1. 7 seconds into the second period, they're offside at the Phoenix blue line.
And the St. Louis Blues in the first period beat the Coyotes every way possible. Quicker to the puck on the Nash goal. Turnover on the Eastwood goal. Then they went into their non-defensive coverage mode. No coverage on the Barteshko goal. Strong roll on the boards by St. Louis. No coverage on the Eastwood goal. No coverage on the Dimitri goal.
Sounds like a lack of coverage, Bill.
Well, in the last three it was a lack of everything for Phoenix, but intermissions are for regrouping, for tongue lashings, for pride searching. And I'll tell you what, the Phoenix Coyotes needed and should have done all of those.
Are you surprised that goaltender still in the hockey game?
Well,
not that it's his fault or anything.
First of all, the game's out of reach at this point.
Play tomorrow night.
Bob Essensa should start tomorrow night when this team travels to Anaheim to play the Mighty Ducks. So Robert Esch, in search of his first NHL win, 0-2 in the season, needs something, some kind of transfusion of life into the guys on the bench.
Doesn't look good, though, to get that first NHL victory here tonight.
You don't think down by 5?
Well, yeah, they're a strong comeback team, Bill, but it would really take some kind of...
Keen insights, folks, is what we always are in quest of offering you here.
Penalty as one of the Coyotes was dumped back behind the net. Carney was taken down by Jesus. Rather, Barteshko, I beg your pardon.
Oh, remember Keith Carney? Oh, yeah. It was accidental, but it's got to go. Lubos, Barteshko. Remember Keith Carney accidentally caught one of the Blues in the first period, and he went. Justice served for Keith Carney. Things have evened out with Barteshko going and Keith Carney heading to the bench. But anytime you feel a stick up around your helmet and your helmet move, you've got to make that head shake like, wow, I've just been hit in the head or up high. I mean, if you don't draw attention to it. There was a time when players just let those sticks click off their helmets. Not any longer. If you can help your team by drawing a penalty, let the ref know.
Well, here's a chance anyway. Try to get back in this hockey game.
Well, on the first power play in the first period, this is how bad it was for Phoenix. They give up a shorthander to Mike Eastwood. So they are really 0-1 on the power play.
Here's Newman and Lume will play the point position. Tkachuk, Adams, and Roenick, the forward line on this Phoenix power play. Roenick, first man on the puck, back behind the net. Able to find Tkachuk, the Coyotes captain. He loses momentarily, and Jesus able to clear. Jesus who had 3 assists in that first period.
Just an underrated player. Another one of the keys to the Blues' success. Michael Jesus doesn't get any pub, doesn't get much ink. He is a huge factor for them.
Bergevin put a man down. Nearly put his team down.
Yeah.
Here's Adams on it. Off for Tkachuk. Back to the point. Flake shot. Lume has. He'll work it back to the other point. Shot. Roenick had a chance. And it looked like he fanned on the bouncing puck. And it's cleared down the ice.
But I don't think Jeremy Roenick got it really. He might have gotten all of it, but he didn't shoot it where he wanted to. He had the left half of the net. I don't think Turek was back to that side of the net yet, but Turek got into the middle, and that's where JR shot it.
Here's Carney winding up at center. They'll shoot in, look for the Caram. McInnes will slap it around. Kept in nicely by the Coyotes. Letowski's shot is stopped. Tuck on the doorstep. And Turek's got that. No, hang on. Little bit of life.
Little bit of life on the power play. Jeremy Roenick with a really good chance. You can see that he's at least yelling on the bench. They're kind of fired up, so they've recharged a bit. Here's the Jeremy Roenick chance. See how he shot it right back into Roman Turek? I'm actually surprised Turek wasn't over there waiting for him because it was such a long pass. The longer, the farther the distance the puck has to travel, the greater the opportunity the goalie has to get over and get set when he reads the pass.
Daniel for Letowski down. The shot coming from the other point from Carney is blocked. Letowski on it, back behind the net. Working away from McInnes. Green in there as well. 2-on-2 in the corner right at Turek. And now it's knocked out of play and into the crowd. And Barteshko.
So, Jimmy, who's the best Super Bowl team ever?
Well, Rebecca, football is a complicated sport most women don't understand. But I'd have to say Dallas and their gloomy day defense.
You mean Doomsday Defense?
Then there's the Pittsburgh Satin Curtain.
Steel Curtain.
Whatever. At least we both drink Miller Lite because it tastes great, right?
Well, actually, I like it because it's less filling, but it's nice to drink with such a football expert.
You know, I was a guard for the Packers.
Jimmy, you were parking lot security.
Taste the true Pilsner.
Are you looking down my...
Robert Esch just looks out there and wonders how bad it can get. Great pass by Pierre Turgeon. I mean, he's got eyes in the back of his head. Talked about the coverage that wasn't there. Robert Esch bailed the boys out on that one because Scott Pellerin was at close range. And now the plot thickens here. Even, I mean, it gets worse. How about that? It doesn't thicken. It gets worse for Phoenix because they got to kill one here.
Tell you what, it gets worse for Pellerin. Had 20 goals last season. So far, he's got 1 goal in 31 games, and a good example right there and a great opportunity.
As long as the team is winning and as long as you got so many players having good years on the team, for some reason, not many people talk about Scott Pellerin's slump.
Penalty, Doan in the box for the Coyotes. He's in the box for some reason.
I bet he got a penalty.
I know the penalty. You're just trying to find out what the actual penalty was. Shot is stopped. Rebound. Score on the power play. And it is Mike Eastwood. His first career hat trick. And congratulations to him. It is 6-0 St. Louis.
This is why the players love Joel Quenneville. You think Mike Eastwood is usually starting material on the power play? No way. There's a man that the players love because he's a player's coach. Puts out Mike Eastwood in the starting unit on the power play. A really good shot by McInnes with an uncontrollable rebound. Was that Handzus that put the puck over to Eastwood for a 4th assist? I'm not sure. It might have been Dimitra, but Mike Eastwood just had to slam it home.
I'd like to see a little more enthusiasm out of Eastwood, first career hat.
He's one of the most understated guys you'll ever run into. Never says a word. So what you saw on the bench was bubbling over for Mike Eastwood.
32-year-old, I guess you could call him a journeyman. Congratulations to Mike Eastwood on his first career NHL hat trick.
And the identification of that guy that made the nice play was Jochen Hesch, the rookie. Everybody's in on the act now for St. Louis.
Doan threw a check in the Blues' end, and that led to the roar from the crowd. A rare chance to cheer here at America West. Battle for it, as you would expect, inside the Phoenix zone. Here's Bartetsko. Lume misses the check. Dimitra travels between. And here's Doan on it for the Coyotes. Off for Juha Jalonen. Pass is picked off. We go the other way. Blues look to counter. Here's Nash on the forecheck. Pass is broken up. This line has created all sorts of havoc, which is what you expect from this Blues line. With Nash, Basson, and Mayers for St. Louis.
And you know what? Joel Quenneville is not afraid to put them out there against anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter what the line is. He doesn't panic, doesn't pull them off because they're reliable defensively. Most of the time, they play on the other team's end because of their forechecking abilities.
Here's Mayers trying to split through a couple of Coyotes. Pass is broken up. Adams could not handle the pass through his skates at the blue line. And they do manage to get it in, and it's right back out. Here's Nash, far side. He'll spin away and drop it deeper for some help. Here's McInnes now. His pass is picked off by Newman, but it's right back the other way. Here's Mayers, lets it go. And that shot is stopped by Esch.
Poor Robert Esch. I mean, he gets the Bronx cheer here, which is really unfair. I mean, no chance on the last. I think he's been bad on 1 goal, and that was the Mike Eastwood goal. Yes, he might not have come up with any spectacular saves, but he has been left alone.
Flipped into the crowd, and we get a whistle midway through the hockey game. At the St. Louis Blues skate, you've heard the expression, hey, that's hockey. There was a young fan, a close friend of the family of the St. Louis Blues, on the ice during the Blues practice after Joel Quenneville had left the ice, and Roman Turek, the starting goaltender on the day of the game, was taking shots from this young fan. I don't know if he was 8, 9 years old. Turek was stacking the pads, letting the kid beat him from all angles, and it just got me to thinking, that's hockey.
Yeah.
You would not see that in, say, another sport. Day of the game.
Sometimes you wouldn't see it on an off day.
Yeah.
But on a game day.
The starting goaltender.
Yeah. And quite frankly, you might not see that often amongst NHL goaltenders. But Roman Turek was terrific. And Santa, do you have like a couple of field goals in that bag of gifts there? Because the Coyotes could use a couple of field goals here. They trail by 6.
Off the faceoff, Coyotes big shot, stopped by Turek up high, and the rebound is St. Louis, and they look to break. Here's Hesch now from the angle. He is rubbed off, but still able to get it through to Conroy. Try to center, it's broken up. And back the other way come the Coyotes. Todd Gill back on the ice, and that is great to see for Phoenix. Lume has to back skate. Gill will come over. If you missed it earlier, Gill got clipped up high from his teammate's stick. Rick Tocchet caught him. And after some stitches under the eye and the bridge of the nose, he apparently is okay. Conroy spills one of the Coyotes, and he will head to the box.
Well, it's good to see Todd Gill back. And he's wearing a visor now. That's it, Todd, we're over here. But look, he's still got, I don't know, does that look like he's got blood in the middle of that helmet? But on the bridge of the nose and around on either side of the eye. So it looked like the heel didn't get all the way through. No,
that's the NHL symbol.
That's the NHL logo on the visor. It's not
often
blood.
mistaken for blood, yes.
St. Louis penalty.
Now, we'll take a look at the penalty. Craig Conroy is tugging on his guy coming back. Joel Quenneville doesn't like penalties like that because Craig Conroy is fast enough to take that extra stride and make that extra burst to get back even with his guy so he doesn't have to tug him down. And it might have been exaggerated, but nevertheless, you leave yourself open for a real good dive that can generate a penalty for the other team if you don't skate hard enough to get up beside your guy.
Another opportunity for the Coyotes. Here's Newman. Off for Tkachuk. Held, gets it back, and the shot from Newman is well over the net and catches nothing but glass. Bouncing puck. Control. Here's Daniel now. Dumps it down deeper. And Newman's got a lane. Pad save. Rebound is loose. It's still loose. Newman went for the pass instead of the shot with Turek down and without his stick. Power play continues. Here's Tkachuk on it. And the Blues able to get to it.
Boy, the Blues really sniffed that one out. They knew they had the Coyotes off balance on the run a little bit. So Bergevin came up and helped the forwards, and 3 of them pressed until they got the turnover.
You saw the Coyotes' power play numbers 0 for 2 on the night. We're staring at an 0 for 3 in a minute and 5. Here's Newman in. He'll drop it deeper inside the zone. Here's Lume now, winding up at center. In across the lines, got some speed with Adams. Adams beats Finley behind the net now. Turns around towards the front of the net, and it is broken up. Lume was in deep, couldn't turn around and get the shot off. Here's Carney, got a lane, finds Lume instead, deflected, puck is loose, still loose in front of the net, still loose, scramble on. Carney is in deep. Coyotes, Adams shot, that goes wide of the net.
Turek's lost his stick again, and now he's not going to get it back. Maybe he will. Let's see.
Here's a chance for Adams, goes well wide of the net. And now Turek still can't get it. Green got him away.
Finley had tried to kick it back to Turek, and Green kicked it away.
McKinnis tried to pick up the stick, couldn't get a grip on it. Now the stick is well out of his reach, and Carney went for the pass instead of the shot, and it's knocked out of play. What a sequence there. And that's the way it's going for both the Blues and the Coyotes.
No
right
question,
there.
Steve. I mean, that's a replay that represents, as you point out, both fates in this game. Earlier, the shot from Newman, the close-in play from Tkachuk, and the stick he got this time. He's able to pick it up. Second time, Travis Green actually kicked it away. Turek actually had it in his grasp. Then Al McInnes came in to pick it up. What? That thing's got butter on it. And then Rick Tocchet knew what he was doing when he came in and nudged a little further. Finally, a great block by Al McInnes, and Al McInnes picked it up and hand-delivered it to his man, Roman Turek.
Here's Carney. Down low. Loose puck. And the Blues able to get to it. Pronger leading the way for Young. He's got some help as Pronger was coming in with him. Power play is over. Coyotes are, in fact, 0 for 3 with the man advantage. Deep inside the zone, here's Young. Centering feed. A rare sight, a Coyote player actually in front of his own net. Here's Hesh now. Back behind the net. Carney on him. Good battle there. And the Coyotes able to put their man down to the ice. And it's centered on Turek. He'll stick it aside. And rolls up for Pronger. Moves it past Gill. And Lume on it. Ahead of Dimitra. Back behind the net. Nash came out of nowhere to throw the big check on Sullivan. And it's Pronger.
And Joel Quenneville's really mixing his lines now. He's trying to find something to keep his guys interested in this game. One of the ways he can do that is mixing his lines. He's got Dimitra, and Nash out there with Barteshko. That's a new combination tonight.
Here is Barteshko now. Trying to spin away. He was checked by Lume without a stick. Here's Reardon backhand towards the front of the net, and Dimitra couldn't get a stick on it.
And if Joel Quenneville can get, Tyson Nash confident offensively by putting him out there with Dimitra and Barteshko, I mean, he gets another guy on board with offensive confidence. So now's a good opportunity for him to do some creative things to help guys get their games on track.
Off the glass and all the way down. No icing will be called. They wave it off. Daniel fans on his pass. Picked off by Finley, and Turgeon tried to break in, and we get a whistle.
I think we're going to get too many men on the ice again for St. Louis. Hasn't that already happened once in this tilt?
Not that it has been all Robert Esch's fault, but they are still the Coyotes without Nikolai Hobby-Bulin. Apparently turned down a reported 3-year, $9 million offer by Bobby Smith, the general manager of the Coyotes. They went out and acquired Sean Burke, who is currently injured. It's a thumb tendon injury, and he'll be out probably sometime in January. And yet the Coyotes still are in first place, even with tonight's effort.
They won't be for long, Steve, the way they're playing. I mean, they ended their skid, they thought, with that win against San Jose, and have come out here and laid an egg tonight. So they're taking on water. I mean, they got a problem here, too. Look at Conroy.
Conroy racing in, catches the outside of the post. The only thing that has gone wrong for St. Louis is now Conroy is trying to shake it off, is they've taken too many men on the ice penalties.
That's because guys are so anxious to get out there.
They're right, and pump up those stats. Coming up as soon as we check out of here for 2 periods of play. 2:46 left here in the second. The Dodge Intermission Report. Coming up next, the ESPN News Network. I wonder what Barry will have to say about this fine outing. Highlights from the Sabres and the Rangers, the Penguins and the Islanders. Lots of goals being scored, not just here tonight in the NHL, but all over the league in these 6 other games. That's all coming up on the new Dodge Intermission Report.
Well, J.J. Daniel goes for whacking Craig Conroy from behind with a cross-check, but this typifies Phoenix. Look at Jeremy Roenick in this last play. Looking at the bench, kind of disinterested, swung back into the play a little bit. Finally, the penalty on Daniel. But even Jeremy Roenick has become an invisible guy out there for Phoenix. Do you notice one player, Steve, for Phoenix that you could say is competing hard and having a good game? I would say Keith Tkachuk in front of the net. He's had some good scoring chances, staking out his claim to some ice in front of Roman Turek. After that, I can't name one.
How about Shane Doan? It might be a bit of a reach, but I think Doan has played hard, as he always does through these periods. I don't want to say they've quit, but maybe they realize a veteran club, let's not maximize our energy if we've already lost this game, worry about tomorrow night.
Can't accuse them of quitting when they weren't there to start the game.
Good point.
It's one thing to come out, with guns firing and fall behind 4 or 5-0 and then kind of pack it in, but they weren't even ready from the start.
I'm sure, again, Bill, people are wondering at home, what is Robert Esch still doing in this hockey game? You see it so many times, a goaltender pulled down 6-0. It was 5-0 after one. And I, for one, was surprised, but you made the point before, hey, another game tomorrow night.
And that told you that Bobby Francis was focusing on the game tomorrow night already, as he had to.
Yeah. On the road at Anaheim. I'm sure the Ducks watching this game on ESPN2 will not be pleased, because you know the Coyotes will then be motivated for them tomorrow night. Last penalty was for Daniel for cross-checking, leading this 4-on-4 situation. Picked up the penalty, the 17-14 mark. 4-on-4 for another 20 seconds or so. Cross ice feed. Hecht unable to handle the puck off the ice. Turgeon taken out by Newman. We mentioned Bobby Smith not spending the money on Nikolai Hobby-Bulin. He did spend it on Newman, who recently signed a 4-year, $18.5 million deal.
Couldn't have spent it on a better guy. Really couldn't.
Here's Nash, who scored the first goal of this hockey game. It seems like a long time ago. Goes back to the point to Reardon. Finds Mayers. Look, a tricky play there by Mayers to Pierre Turgeon. I probably wasn't expecting that kind of pass. That shot, Nash, it deflected on goal. Nash towards the front of the net. Knocked away, Yolonen, and they're able to clear to Pronger at center.
Oh, St. Louis.
Nearly
their changes are getting sloppy. Yeah, they got to be crisper on their changes. They might be up 6-0, but that's what I talked about when I mentioned winning too big. Kind of lose your focus. You start, getting lazy in certain aspects of the game, and you get caught.
Bill, would you expect to see less of Pronger and McInnes in the third period? Why make them play their normal 26 and 30 minutes respectively in a game like this?
Well, I'm not sure we're going to see less. I mean, yeah, Chris Pronger won't play his usual minutes, but I don't think Joel Quenneville will pay as close attention to the matchups because it will give other players a chance, other defensemen, a chance to play against, you know, top forwards in the NHL and really bring their game up. So Chris Pronger doesn't have to worry, I don't think, too much about the matchup that Joel Quenneville started this game with, which was Pronger against the Tkachuk-Roenick line.
Blues are sticking around, and then they will travel to Nashville tomorrow night for a game against the Predators on Thursday. So a bit of a breather in the schedule before they get set for the holidays. And in case Bill and I don't get a chance to speak to you before Christmas, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season.
Absolutely.
Inside the blue zone, Pearson getting some quality minutes after being scratched, a healthy scratch previous 5 games. He might benefit from a minute or two that Pronger won't play in the third. Final 5 seconds. And Lume will skate it around. Horn sounds. Mike Eastwood and the Blues are the story here tonight. His first career hat trick. The Blues are pummeling Phoenix. ESPN News after this. Dolled up for the holidays. That's what it looks like outside America West, although not a whole lot of holiday cheer inside for the home team. They find themselves down 6-0 as we get you set for the start of period number 3, Blues and Coyotes.
Well, one more chance for the Coyotes to have regrouped in their locker room and come out here and try and do something respectable.
Prior to their last game, Bill, they had lost 4 straight, and that was their first real losing streak of the season. And they thought they had turned it around with a home win over San Jose on Sunday, but they were mistaken.
Yeah, you bet they were. And they might be farther away from playing well now than they were after they finished off that 4-game losing streak.
Excellent point. Things to watch for here in the third period. How about the shutout streak that Roman Turek has? Unofficially, he's over 134 minutes right now. Remember, he just pitched a shutout beating the Bruins on Saturday 4-0. Here's Tkachuk. And they get the shot from the angle from Drake, but it would have been on the outside of the net, and it pops into the crowd. Look at our Zima storyline from Phoenix. Mike Eastwood, his 9th National Hockey League season, his first career hat trick.
All right, folks, guess what our Zima replays are going to be? You're right. Mike Eastwood night. His first goal was really pretty. Shorthanded breakaway. Bad coverage by the Coyotes allowed him just to turn and wheel. Sharp angle shot. And then a great feed from Jochen Hecht. And Mike Eastwood had the hat trick. His line of Hecht, Conroy, and Eastwood, 3 goals and 2 assists. How about this, the all-Slovak line of Handzus, Barteshko, and Dimitra, 2 goals and 5 assists, 3 of those assists from Handzus.
At center, Coyotes have. Good move to spin out of traffic by Radoslav Suchy. And McInnes will slap it back the other way. Suchy stuck up on his man to make the play. Handzus in across the line. It's broken up. And it's Doan back the other way. Here's Shane Doan, and a little poke there with a quick stick by Bergevin forces the offside.
Well, absolutely nothing has gone wrong for St. Louis. Multiple point guys tonight. Mike Eastwood with his 3 goals. Pavel Dimitra 1-1. Barteshko 1-1. Michael Handzus, who quietly has put together a real solid game with 3 assists. And Jochen Hecht, the gifted rookie from Germany, 2 assists. And Al MacInnis on the right is a guy that has been cut back ice time wise. We talked about Chris Pronger and his ice time. He's right on target for his 30 minutes per game. But Al MacInnis only played 13 minutes through the first 2 periods, and you kind of figured that at age 36 that this would be a good opportunity for Joel Quenneville not to wear him out. Somebody's throwing ice or something at him. You see that? He turned around to see who was throwing something. Not sure who it was either. Well, the Blues look as bored as the Coyotes do.
How about the emotions on the bench, if there are any left? What are players leading 6-0 thinking in the third period on the bench?
Their focus is wandering. Their adrenaline is gone. The coach tries to urge them. Joel Quenneville will be trying to urge them to get out there and play hard and to play smart positionally. And as I said, it's just as difficult to coach a 6-0 game. You'll get the W at the end of the night, but it's sometimes just as difficult to coach a 6-0 game when your team's winning as it is when your team's losing. And you don't want to develop any bad habits. Come on, guys. Joel Quenneville's looking up at the clock and saying, you know what? I wish we could have ended this game after 2 periods.
And he's saying if we take one more too many men on the ice penalty, somebody's in trouble.
Bobby Francis looking up at the clock and saying, I wish we could have ended this game after 1 minute.
Bobby Francis got his first career NHL head coaching victory against the St. Louis Blues on opening night, a 2-1 victory. Nash and DeBrusk are tied up at center ice. Nash without a helmet now. And here's DeBrusk, lets it go. A save by Turek. One of the better shots from the Coyotes all night, and it comes from Louis DeBrusk. Bassett is flattened to the ice by DeBrusk.
Yeah.
And it looks like Louis will go. And Nash comes over and says something to him after the fact.
It's dumb penalty. Dumb penalty by Louis DeBrusk. Tyson Nash got him started, as he does many guys. And remember, the Coyotes coaching staff showed their team the clip of Tyson Nash against Boston. Here's what happened between DeBrusk and Nash. Nash was holding on to him there, trying to get under his skin. And the play went back to the other end. DeBrusk got a good scoring chance. And then when Bobby Baston took Sullivan out, DeBrusk just KO'd him from behind with a cross check. That goes in the dumb penalty book right there. Your team's down 6-0. You're trying to get some momentum. You've had a pretty good shift generating a scoring chance. Poof. Bust the balloon.
Talked to Nash this morning about leading the team in penalties, and he said, hey, you know what? Nobody says a thing as long as you don't go off alone. If somebody else is going off with you at the same time and you're not putting his team down a man, well, nobody says anything as long as they're hard, aggressive penalties. And this time Nash did it even one better.
Right. The two most underrated things about an agitator are, number one, how smart you have to be a good one. And number two, the beating that you have to take to be a good one, because you got to turn the other cheek, as Nash did. When Joe Murphy jumped him, filled him in, Nash never threw a punch. Murphy got the 5. St. Louis got the W.
Led to 2 power play goals.
Yeah.
Turning point of that game. Here's Pellerin back behind the net. Power play ongoing for the Blues. Looking to add the extra point. DeBrusk for cross-checking. 1:53 of the third period. Centering feed, and it's broken up. And here comes Doan for Phoenix. Short-handed. Pronger skated right around him. And here's Yolodin's shot. Rather Sullivan's shot. Goes wide of the net. Suchi cross to Sullivan again. Hit across the line. Sullivan hits the brakes. The better chances here coming while shorthanded for Phoenix.
Well,
Letowski there.
Penalty killers are working. I mean, Mike Sullivan and Trevor Letowski will give you everything in the tank. And the St. Louis Blues kind of having cruise now, being on the power play with the big lead. And it'll be easy for them to get outworked by the penalty killers.
Here's McInnes. We've yet to see the patented Al McInnes big slapper tonight. He's had only a couple opportunities, but elected to pass off most of the while. That was a topic of conversation in the newspapers here, but I'm sure that's a topic in every town the Blues visit. Who's going to get in front of Al McInnes' slap shot?
Who wants to volunteer for another broken bone?
It's going right through goaltenders' equipment this season as that shot goes wide of the net. Reardon, by the way, who just let that shot go, has the second hardest shot on the Blues. Just ahead of Pronger and well below McInnes.
Well, the one guy that is focusing for St. Louis is Roman Turek. I mean, he's 16 minutes away from pitching his second consecutive shutout.
Now that shot deflected out of play and into the crowd. DeBrusk out of the box, able to kill it off back to 5 aside.
Well, an indication that the St. Louis Blues aren't playing the way they did in the first period is what happened when Shane Doan came down the ice. He was out there on the penalty kill, came down. Look, Al McInnes just skated by him. Chris Pronger just... I mean, how often do you see Chris Pronger, not get a piece of a guy? You know, I talked about the focus kind of to leaving them. Absolutely understandable.
Here's Lume now. On it. Again, back to 5 aside. No! And here's Green. Travis Green drops it back for Lume. Gill on the ice. They switch sides, and Gill wide up with a puck. thought about Green, couldn't get off a stick. Green does recover, but it is a two-line pass. The countdown concludes this week. The top 4 North American athletes of the century. And no, we're not going to tell you who they are. Friday, Christmas Eve, we'll announce number 4 and number 3 starting at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then on Sunday, over on ABC at 5 p.m. Eastern, it's number 2 and number 1. The final 4 list in no particular order: Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Babe Ruth, and Michael Jordan. And this countdown has created tons of conversation and controversy around this nation.
Just the way it was supposed to.
Absolutely. Back to the point. That shot. Turek got a piece of it to send it to the corner. I know many hockey fans were very happy to see Wayne Gretzky at number 5. Not want to see him any higher, or rather lower than that.
I thought he should have been higher, Steve. I think he's the single most dominant athlete in the history of team sports. 61 offensive records. Nobody's ever done that. Incredible. I'm not saying he should have been number 1, but I think he should have been higher than 5.
See, in the panel doing exactly what we're talking about. We're still talking about it. We're discussing it. In Boston, they were far from excited to see Bobby Orr and Larry Bird 32nd and 31st on the list, creating plenty of conversation in Beantown. Here's Nash on the puck now. At center, Coyotes have it with Mikko Alatala. Then across the line, he and Ylonen get crossed up. And Mayers is on it. Cross for Basson. He just gets it out of the zone.
Well, I'll tell you one group that's played pretty well for Phoenix is this Ylonen, Alatola, and your guy Shane Doan line. They have not been on the ice for one St. Louis goal against. And this is Phoenix's top defensive line, and they've shown that here.
And they are offside at the Blues' blue line.
They handle the dirty work. They were supposed to start this game and play against either Pierre Turgeon's line or Pavel Dimitra's line. There's Alatola with Ylonen and Doan. They're good defensive players, and they're very, very reliable. So it didn't matter whether they got Turgeon's line or Dimitra's line. Bobby Francis said he would be happy with the matchup, and Roenick would be the other line that would play either against Turgeon or Dimitra. But even Phoenix has had to forget about the matchups.
Trevor Letowski was asked about someone getting in the way of an Al MacInnis slap shot. He said, we'll put Shane Doan's head in front of it, and it won't be any problem. Won't break anything at all. Oh, he meant that as a compliment, of course.
Yeah, right. Oh, look at this.
Here's a chance. Young, he's got the good wheels trying to break. He's got Pellerin with him. Pellerin trying to get it back. And it is broken up. And Pellerin cannot buy a goal.
No.
He's had a couple of great scoring chances tonight.
Good play by Suchi, but Scott Young's pass put Pellerin on the backhand, and he just didn't transition to the forehand quickly enough, which is also a sign of a guy that's fighting it that doesn't have the confidence.
Towards the net. Turek's got it with the glove, and he'll hang on. 13:52 away from a blanking.
Scott Young, you talk about a guy that's been hot the last little while. 8 goals in the last 9 games coming into tonight. And there you see that Pellerin couldn't get it back to him. But don't take anything away from Radoslav Suchi, one of the best defensive plays the Coyotes have made. One of the only...
All that's left is the crying for the Coyotes. Down 6-0. 13:52 left to play here in the third period. And the faceoff is smothered by Handzus. Interesting way to win a draw, but he does because the Blues get possession off the boards and out of the zone and all the way down on Robert Esch, who has started this one and has been in for all 6 goals against. He was beaten 5 times in the first, only once in the second, and so far has yet to be beaten here in the third. Carney, the shot knocked down. Tkachuk backhand, back to Carney. Handzus the check on Drake. Here's Roenick as this top unit for the Coyotes start to swing it around a little bit. Here's Tkachuk now on it. For Suchi, down low. Handzus trying to knock it away. And here's Bartechko for the Blues. Out at center. Good back check by Keith Tkachuk, who has not quit at the center line. Here's Roenick on it now. Roenick has the pass deflected away by Handzus, and Carney has to chase. Here's Roenick in again. The 4th leading scorer of the National Hockey League coming in. And if you break it down in points per game average, only Jaromir Jagr has averaged more points per game than Jeremy Roenick, who missed 5 games earlier this season due to a suspension. Here's Tocchet now and across the line.
Boy, nothing going on there. I mean, 4 Blues back. You know, they're not hitting anybody, and you wouldn't expect much body contact in a 6-0 game. But St. Louis still comes back hard. They still try to collapse down low to take all the out. Look at this.
Aske's going throwing the punches at the Blues forechecker.
Check this out.
You know, I was just going to say, are you not surprised, even in this new brave NHL, are you not surprised to see more of this from a Phoenix player? I didn't expect it to be the goaltender, but it is.
Well, that might be some indication of the frustration level that Robert Esche has felt tonight, especially being left in there. Look at Jochen Hess saying, what in the name of Frankfurt was that? Robert Esche. Well, he's an aggressive guy. He's very athletic. You know, one of his problems when he's playing is that he comes out and challenges too much because he's so aggressive. But I didn't think he was this kind of aggressive. Jochen Hess didn't stand a chance in that one. He started throwing blocker jabs from behind. Watch this. Did Hess do anything? No, he just tried to squeeze along the boards in between them. Why I oughta, why I will.
Esche maybe trying to get himself out of this hockey game one way or the other. And if his coach won't pull him, maybe the referee will. We told you.
Yeah.
You know,
speaking of Robert Esche, let's take a look at the Pacific Division standings.
This team that is losing on home ice 6-0 is the first place team and the best division in hockey.
Look at the bottom team, Dallas. But here's the key. 41 points on the top, 39 points on the bottom. When have you seen a 5-team division separated by 2 points almost halfway through a season?
Bill, the last place team in that Pacific Division is 4 games over 500. The next closest division, you'd have to go to the Northwest, and that would be last place Vancouver, and they're 4 games under 500. It's not even close. All 5 teams would make the playoffs if the playoffs started tonight. For the Coyotes, thankfully, they do not. Dallas is holding down the 8th spot right now in the West. Blues, the best road-winning percentage in the National Hockey League. They played pretty well on home ice, too. And they look to improve on that here tonight. Esche gets the penalty for roughing. A 4-minute double minor for roughing. And so the Blues will look to tack on a couple more. This will go for icing. And they'll bring it back down into the Blues end. 7:41, the time of the penalty.
Well, we talked a long time ago in this game about the hard hat. That used to be a Kiel Center tour hard hat that they give people to go on tours. Players started giving that out to the guy that they felt was the player that deserved it, kind of an unsung guy, grinding, good effort. Tyson Nash got in their last game, the shutout of Boston. So it's his turn to give it to somebody. Each guy that really wins the hard hat, which is now a helmet because the hard hat was given to Jeff Courtnall when he retired. Tyson Nash gets to give that to another Blue, and you got to know it's going to Mike Eastwood.
Nash already a fan favorite in St. Louis.
As he should be.
And you only need one game to watch him and know why, as Esche will cover up and hang on the flip in. 11:42 left here in the third. 3:23 left in the man advantage. The penalties to that guy. Robert Esche, the goaltender, the native of Utica, New York. A high draft pick, 5th-round pick in '96. He's only 21 years old. This is only his 7th National Hockey League game career and his 4th career NHL start. And he's still looking for his first NHL win, and he figures to be doing so after tonight is over as well. Here's Young off the draw. Good face-off win by St. Louis. McInnes able to keep it momentarily. And Pronger, nice job to keep it rolling along the blue line and deeper. And Sullivan will punch it out. Turek on it. Continue to update his streak. Some 150 minutes now of shutout hockey. Unofficial. I did that quickly in my head, Bill, so it's really unofficial. And here's Young for the Blues. Cross ice. McInnes has a lane. Couldn't unload the big bomb, but it is kept in. Here's Turgeon now. Loses to Sullivan and pokes it by McInnes.
I mentioned the Alatola Ylonen Doan line as being an even. Oh, here's Turgeon.
Turgeon rips a shot.
Well, Mike Sullivan was doing good work on the boards over there. Got the puck out twice in the penalty kill. He is also even. He's not been on the ice for a goal against.
Here's Scott Young now. He's got some space, top of the circle. Turgeon is all by himself down deep. But Tkachuk gets to it, and he'll chop it out. Coming up on the midway point, period number 3. I want to thank all those of you in the East that have stayed up late to watch this dandy. We hope that you stayed up to watch this hockey game. 6-0, the Blues lead. Coming up on 10 minutes left here in the third.
Well, the game ended at the halfway point. It's as simple as that. There's been very little action, and you would figure that with a runaway game. And it was virtually over at the halfway point of this tilt.
Carney wins the race, and icing is called. Hey, don't miss the coolest NHL show on TV. Why, it's, of course, NHL Cool Shots tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, over on ESPN. Among the items you'll be able to see on Cool Shots, the NHL and Christmas charity work that the Devils and the Islanders have done in the New York metropolitan area, plus NHL Moment 2000. The #2 video moment will be revealed.
Watch this play. This is why the Blues are so dangerous. The defensemen get the puck. They look up immediately. Pronger looking up ice for Turgeon. Bang. Dead on accurate. I think that might have clipped the handle of Robert Esch's stick. Otherwise, Turgeon was on the board with a goal.
Did I catch you with a cameo on Cool Shots recently, Bill?
Cameo? I starred.
Did your starring role?
Yeah, Gary and I. Right.
Co-hosted normally by our pals Jennifer Smith and Dan Moriarty.
They're great to work with.
Yeah,
Jen
terrific.
and Dan were fantastic. Carried us. They carried us, I tell you.
They even let you steal some of their airtime, huh? That's center. Here's Conroy now and across the line. Cross for Hesh, could not connect. He does center. Here's Conroy, rips one and a save by Esch.
That hit the handle of his stick too. Well, maybe his luck's changing.
Yeah. Where was that handle in the first period?
You don't make those saves intentionally. They just hit the handle.
Couldn't get a handle on anything in the first. Here's Eastwood, the man with a hat trick. Looking for a 4-goal game. Dumps it down low. 50 seconds left in the double minor, left to Esch. Oh, that shot is ripped and blocked at the defense.
Shot. That is Todd Reardon. You mentioned earlier he's got the second hardest shot on the team. Whoa. He let a rip and it deflected too.
It's kind of unfair in the hardest shooting competition when McInnes is on your team. There's no way you're going to finish first. But second pretty good to McInnes. And it's back the other way. There's Rico Pearson on it. Out with Jeff Finley. Pearson gets it out ahead to Mayers. He'll headman. Basson and Nash look to crash the boards. Mayers pinches in deep. Loses his stick. And I think he lost the puck in his uniform. We get a whistle.
Roman Turek has had the force field up now for, well, I would say just about, I don't know, 145 minutes and 28 seconds, just a guess.
Well, sure, when I do it, it's unofficial. When you do it, there it is, documented.
Well, I'd done it in my head, and then it was graphically assisted. No, Roman Turek has been terrific for the St. Louis Blues when he's had to be tonight. Against most teams, though, he doesn't have to be spectacular. The St. Louis Blues have the greatest plus shot differential in the NHL. They're the third best at taking shots at the other end. They have the third highest shot totals per game. They're #1 in keeping the shots down. I mean, twice they have held teams. They held Nashville to 11 shots and Edmonton to 10 shots this season.
So far, the Coyotes have just 14 shots. Phoenix able to kill off the double minor penalty to Esch. I guess the upside for Phoenix is they haven't allowed a power play goal tonight, so the penalty killing is working. Here's Nash. He's bumped. Mayers trying to go to Basson. Back behind the net. Hard check thrown by Nash. On Green. Turek gets to it. He will play it around. DeBrusk on the ice. Dumps it down deeper. Mayers trying to sweep it away. Can't. Finley out to greet him. And we get a whistle now as DeBrusk starts throwing punches at Nash. And Pearson comes in. And now we've got gloves spilled all over the ice.
Well, Louis DeBrusk finally said, this game's gone. I'm going to get my licks in. He landed a couple of lefts, I think, in the face of Tyson Nash. Hit him pretty good. See what happens here. Ricard Pearson jumped in as a third guy in. He should get a medal, not a penalty. Nash was in trouble against DeBrusk. Well, Louis DeBrusk gets to cool those jets. Here's what happened. Tyson Nash really took out Travis Green with a nice takeout. The chin strap came up around Travis Green's nose. Then just a little poke. See, that's what he does to get under your skin. Bang, bang, left to the face. And Ricard Pearson, I give him a lot of credit. Give him a lot of credit. European player. There aren't many that would jump in against Louis DeBrusque, and he jumped right in there to try to grab him.
We've already documented how Nash did a similar thing, and it won the game for them really against the Bruins, led to 2 goals. But in this case, in a 6-0 game, you're agitating. Don't you have to drop the gloves and go with Louis DeBrusque?
Would I?
Well, don't you think? I mean, Nash is trying to carve out a reputation as a tough guy in the NHL.
No, but he's not, though. And that's what gets under people's skin even more, is that he doesn't fight very much. And sometimes won't. And I think that's one of the reasons he's effective. He's too small. I mean, his MO is not dropping the gloves and fighting. He's not gonna win any hockey games for his team by fighting people.
I just meant up 6-0. This game already decided. But the truth of it is, you saw that replay. Nash started it. He gave the first shot to DeBrusque with the stick. So he never stops working.
Love him. He's already the captain of my junkyard dog team, my all junkyard dog team.
Is the balloting already done for that? We got a lot of time left in the season, Bill.
Well, I didn't say it was the final balloting.
He's the leader at this moment.
It's already the captain. That could change. We moved the C and the A's around.
This past Wednesday, speaking of leaders, Chris Pronger, the guy with the puck, was the leading vote getter for North American defenseman for the All-Star team. Nearly banged in by Turgeon from the corner. What if you get a starting unit from the Blues? Here's Letowski trying to break in. Shot stopped by Turek, who loses his stick nearly as much as Dominik Hasek.
He really does. And that time he looked like Dominik Hasek. It was, I'm going to stop this any way I can. On the rebound, he just kind of did a, I'm going to lie down here and take a little rest.
Now, Hasek, we believe, does it on purpose. Think Turek does it on purpose?
Well, I haven't seen him actually consciously try to go for the puck with his blocker.
Right.
And that's why Hasek drops his, so that he can free up his blocker as a down low protector. But I haven't seen Turek actually do that, so the answer is no.
10 seconds left in the extra penalty. DeBrusque picked up 4 minutes while Pearson picked up 2. And Tyson Nash's efforts did lead to this St. Louis power play, which has now expired. Manatello is out of the box. And we're back at 5-a-side. Here's Hesh now, center. And the Blues look to break with Conroy. Check thrown in the corner. Eastwood on it there. Guy's never had a hat trick before. You wonder if he's thoughts of a 4-goal game are dancing through his mind. Hey, why not? 9th year of the NHL, blowout game, why not? Coyotes with Tocchet in across the line. Hits the brakes now. Dumps him down deeper for Green. Checked by Conroy. Tkachuk is on it for Phoenix. Spins away from the check. And Reardon on it. Todd Reardon has stepped in and been played very nice. A fixture role for the Blues.
He really has. I mean, he was a minor leaguer when he arrived in St. Louis.
Tip shot. Stopped by Turek. Through some heavy traffic, and he's able to hang on. His shutout roll continues on. Back National Hockey Night on ESPN2. The Blues leading the Coyotes 6-0. Face off to the right of Roman Turek.
Interesting configuration here. They did this last time. They got Keith Carney bottom left of your screen. You can see his helmet. He's a defenseman. He's up close. Jeremy Roenick is on the point, so that if Tkachuk can get the puck back to him, Roenick with a better shot than Carney can blast it home.
And they do get it back to him. Carney served as a pick, and Tkachuk shot dribbles wide of the net. Rather, Roenick shot, I beg your pardon. Tkachuk to the front of the net. Now Suchi on it with Pellerin out to Green. Tipped in front and just wide. Roenick was right there on the doorstep. Folks, those have been going in all season long for JR and the Coyotes, but not tonight. Here's Basson now and across the line. As Mayers to the front of the net. Miscommunication with Pellerin, and Roenick pops it free the other way. Tkachuk is on it. And he will shoot in. that he crossed the red line. You might want to wave that one off. It was close enough, but no. Pearson touches up, and they will bring it down at the other end.
The winning number in tonight's Phoenix Coyotes.
Roman Turek is now 3 minutes and 58 seconds away from his second consecutive shutout. His numbers continue to get better and better. He has clearly become a significant factor in the St. Louis Blues. Really, their rise to excellence. I'll show you this last play. And I'll give Phoenix some credit. They are getting some traffic in front. Part of the reason they're getting traffic in front is there is no price to pay in front. The St. Louis Blues have pretty well won this, so they're not banging anybody in front. You know, the St. Louis Blues, everybody says, you know, yeah, but they're not quite there yet. Tell you what, the last 3 years, they have been knocked out in the playoffs by the eventual Stanley Cup winner. And they gave them runs.
In lengthy series, absolutely. I like the makeup of this Blues team.
Yep, I still think they could use a power winger. You look at all of their wingers, they don't have a real power forward who plays the wing. A guy like Billy Guerin would be a great fit. I think the Blues would be willing to part with Craig Conroy and somebody else, maybe a prospect.
Coyotes, all that's left for them to do is try to avoid being shut out for what would be the second time in the last 4 games for them. I guess the best news for Phoenix is they get to get right back at it. They don't play tomorrow night. They want to sit through, say, the Christmas holiday. How miserable would that be?
You wouldn't want this game as your last one before Christmas.
2-on-1 down low. Green centering feed. Couldn't get it through the Tocchet. Bergevin always seems to be in the right spot. Nearly a bad giveaway. Young couldn't get to it. Succi will swing it around for Tocchet. Off for Adams. Can't connect on his pass, but gets it back off the giveaway from Finley. Here's Green centering for Tocchet now. Back to the point. That shot is blocked at the defense by Pierre Turgeon. He's blocking shots now.
Look at that.
Here's Pellerin. 1-on-2. Pellerin, little drop feed for Young, trying to cut through. He is taken out by Gill. Rolls up for Adams. Final 2:20 to play in the third. It has been all St. Louis from the opening faceoff. Here's Lume now. Gets in. That shot wide. Cameron's off the side of the net. And it's gloved by Turek, and he'll hang on, and hopefully none of the nonsense behind the net. Turek comes in as the number 3 in the NHL in victories with 15, and he looks to add to that tonight. Coming up immediately after the game, John Butchergrass and Barry Melrose, they'll have their 2 cents on this game tonight. News, scores, and highlights from around the rest of the NHL with 6 other games. Also, Felix Potvin in his new home. How about the top right wings of the century? And Keith Primo and trade talks. That's all I'm told. Maybe things are heating up in Carolina as they try to move Keith Primo, a K-train. You mentioned power forwards. Keith Primo might fit in on this Blues team.
Well, the Blues are deep down the middle, and Keith is a center. That's why I say power forward at the wing position. But the New York Rangers lost again tonight. They need to do something, and they've always got that big pot of money ready to go. Peter Nedved and one prospect, Brendel, Yormark.
Shot will stop. Rebound outside of the net. Maybe Turek's best stop there. And you wonder how his concentration isn't waning. DeBrusco's the check.
I'll guarantee if it was 6-1, he wouldn't be concentrating the way he is now. It's all about the shutout for him.
And back-to-back going for that.
Yeah.
And how about that? Bob Basson, first game back with the Blues, going down to block a shot with 80 seconds left in the game in a 6-0 hockey game. Bartechko is on it. He's checked by Succi. Handzus, who's had a nice game himself, will shoot in. Mayers and Carney go to the back of the net. Centering feed.
1 minute left to play.
Final minute to play in the period. Does Phoenix pull Esch here, you think, or not? Get the extra attacker on? Take that shutout string?
Let me see. Probably not.
Oh, and the Blues are offside at that blue line, so they'll have to keep Esch in goal a little bit longer with that faceoff right there.
No, it's been tough for Robert Esch. I mean, when he has played, the team hasn't produced. He's played well in the past when he lost his 2 games, but nobody played well in front of him. And there's not much he could do about this with his white mask and all.
The Blues have had so much time and space and second chances in and around his net. You really feel for the 21-year-old. who has really been, after the first period, sacrificed. Said, hey, take one for the team here. We're playing tomorrow night. And we'll go back to Bob Essenza then.
Thank God for Esch. It didn't get that much worse. And this, was it 4-0 at the end of the first? 5, so it didn't get that much worse. We're only at 6 now.
Yeah, you say you want to win the second period. All right, they only lost the second period 1-0. And they're on the verge of getting a tie here in the third. 2-on-2 back behind Esch's net. Final half-minute to play. Do we have to check with anyone, or do you think we can call this the worst outing of the season for the first-place Phoenix Coyotes?
You don't have to check. They were awful. It's one thing. I mean, it's not the score, Steve. It's not losing 6-0. It is about how they played. They didn't. The most uninspired effort I've seen by any team in the NHL this season.
And as the boos rain down here at America West, the Blues will be cheering for their guy. Mike Eastwood has the hat trick, and Roman Turek consecutive shutouts. His shutout string now at 153 minutes and 58 seconds.
Goodbye, everybody, for the St. Louis Blues. Mike Eastwood with the hat trick. Multiple ways for Eastwood as well.
Final score, the Blues bang up the Coyotes 6-0 here in Phoenix. National Hockey Night comes your way Thursday night. A much more competitive game. We can imagine the Avalanche and the Sabres on Thursday night. Up next, it's NHL tonight. For Bill Clement and our entire ESPN2 crew, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Steve Levy. Good night from Phoenix. Happy holidays. The Blues win big.